Welcome to Routine is Revenue, the podcast for business owners who want a sustainable business without burning themselves into the ground. I'm Ildiko Seeley, your health for wealth strategist and creator of the Temple Method. Today we are talking about physical health in a very practical way. Not diets or willpower, but how what you eat directly affects your energy, your focus, and your stamina in business. My guest is Dr Liz Leigh-Firbank, a PhD qualified registered nutritionist who combines deep scientific expertise with lived experience of midlife hormonal change. If you are tired of feeling drained, feeling foggy, or running on empty, the advice in this conversation will help you understand how better nutrition can support better decisions and stronger performance. Liz, I'm going to start provocatively. I hope you don't mind. Do you think that most entrepreneurs are trying to fix their fatigue, their brain fog, or overwhelm with productivity tools? Or do you think that the real problem could well be what they are eating?
Well, what you eat affects your whole body, affects your mind, your muscles, your stomach, how you feel, your emotions. So your nutrition and what you eat affects everything. So it's definitely an important tool for entrepreneurs as well as everybody. Starting with nutrition would definitely be a good place to start to help them feel healthy and help them with their routines and their everyday life.
So if you compare diet with productivity tools, could we even say one is more important than another?
I think everything starts with the diet. If you haven't got a good diet, then, you may be able to be productive for a while. You may be able to do things for a while in a good way. But at the end of the day, your health will not benefit if you haven't got a good nutrition and a good diet. And, having other lifestyle things in there as well is also really important. But yeah, good nutrition is key.
That's absolutely, it very much fits in with what I preach. With my catchphrase is that your business will only ever be as healthy as you. So yes, within the physical health pillar of my own framework, nutrition is one of the sub-pillars, I suppose. I can say that. How can we use diet to enhance our business performance?
Well, I think it's important to really think about and look at your diet as a whole. So, you need sort of to have a good, well-balanced diet. So you're looking at making sure you have enough fruit and vegetables, making sure that you're having protein, the right type and the amount of carbohydrates, and making sure you're hydrated throughout the day. And it's really important to have like a routine to make sure you have your diet throughout the day, and also within your shopping bag, make sure you have everything in there so that you can prepare meals every day. Sort of think about how much variety you can bring into your diet. So variety is really important, particularly when you're looking at fruit and vegetables and pulses and lentils and seeds and nuts. So variety is really important as well. And all these ingredients help to make you healthy and keep you healthy.
And I, for one, love eating the rainbow. I really live by that sort of rule, and I would very highly recommend anyone and everyone to do that. But is there any particular advice you can give to? Because this is sort of, as it is, quite generic. So what kind of more sort of granular information can we give people to take on board from this for when they go shopping or when they're cooking?
When you're going shopping, one of the sort of little key things I sort of say is think about, have I tried something new this week? So especially with plants, you can add something extra to your basket that you haven't tried. So is there a new fruit, a new vegetable, something like that you could try? Always look for wholemeal. If you can move away from white starchy foods to having wholemeal, whole grain bread, things like that. Brown rice is brilliant, as is brown pasta. So anything with wholemeal is going to increase your fibre and increase your B vitamin intakes. So that's a really great place to start. Also, omega-3 is really important for your brain health, and entrepreneurs will need very good brain health. So yes. Omega-3 is really important. So oily fish, so salmon, mackerel, and also you can also get plant flaxseed oil and things like this also provide you omega-3.
What
So
about
that's also
the
key.
like flax seeds or
Yeah, that's what I just said.
ground,
Flaxseed is really
not
good.
just the oil, but the actual flax seed or the ground seeds?
Yeah, also good. I mean, it doesn't have the same type of omega-3 in it.
As the oil?
As the fish oil.
Right, okay.
Right. Fish oil has the long chain fatty acids. And so they are directly used in the brain and other parts of the body. And then the plants have the shorter chain omega-3s, but they are also beneficial. So I always say someone who has mostly a plant-based diet should look at maybe getting a supplement with the longer chain omega-3s, which you can get from algae, so seaweed source.
Okay. Oh, I love that kind of stuff.
That's where a supplement will come in, which is very useful for some people. Supplements can be useful on top of the diet, and that's why, what part of my role I develop supplements. So so they are very useful for people who can't get all their nutrition from their diet.
So you've studied nutrition at PhD level. You work in product development, as you just mentioned. What is the biggest misconceptions you see among high-functioning adults about food and energy?
One of the things, I just mentioned bread. So some people seem to demonize bread. I don't know why, which is strange.
It's not bread, it's what we put into it and all the things that we pair together, isn't it?
Yeah, so, wholemeal bread is what you need to choose. Wholemeal, whole grain, seeded, anything with seeds in it, nuts in it, to really increase your fibre intake. The fibre intake in the UK is really low. It's something like 96% of adults and children do not get their daily intake of fibre. So it's huge.
That's very high.
Yes, absolutely high.
But also I was wondering, if you've studied nutrition and perhaps all sorts of statistics, where on earth is it coming from that white bread is the thing? Why have people got this, I don't know, view on brown bread and high fibre bread? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I think white bread is just popular because it's easy to eat. It tastes nice. Some of it does.
Sorry, I just frowned.
Some people like
For those
the
who
taste of
listen,
it.
I just frowned really bad because to me, white bread doesn't actually taste that nice.
Well, it depends if you have some French bread. It can be
brown
quite
bread
nice.
tastes so much nicer.
Yeah, I like brown paste better. But lots of people do like white bread. And it's cheap. And, people living on a budget, it's very cheap. And it quite often has a bit of a longer shelf life as well.
God, I wouldn't want to think why, though.
But anyway, so brown bread is definitely the way to go, and wholemeal and nuts and seeds are definitely the way to go if you want to increase your fibre.
That kind of very much reminds me of advice about the Mediterranean diet.
Yes, definitely.
Of like, lots of colour, lots of fruit and vegetables, and add the oils and nuts and things to it. Any other misconceptions that you come across in your practice?
Well, there's so many things out and about at the moment, misconceptions, people going on fad diets that aren't really necessary, people getting confused about what to eat and what not to eat. One of the things that's very confusing at the moment is the talk about ultra processed foods, because the way they categorize them isn't really clear. So, some foods are ultra processed and you wouldn't want to eat them very often, but other foods may be in the same classification and be okay to have and actually provide good nutrients in them. So it can be very confusing for consumers.
Then how do we know what's right? How do we know what are the ultra-processed foods that are actually not too bad or even okay?
I say as a nutritionist, there's no good and bad foods. It's the amount of food that you take in your diet overall. Yes, you can have a treat. You can have that chocolate and that cake if you want to, but you don't want to have too much of it. You want to base your diet on fruit, vegetables, unrefined carbohydrates. You want to make sure you have protein, good sources of protein from lean meat or from beans, lentils, tofu, these sort of things. It's not that you can't eat certain things, it's that you don't want to eat just those things or too many of those things. And I think that's what's happened, is that a lot of people are, in a very stressed, busy lifestyle and buying things quickly that they can eat quickly and not really enjoying food, whereas food should be enjoyed. It should be eaten with the family, with friends, And, you can make some great, tasty, nutritious food.
So
But
are there any
you need
techniques
time.
that you teach alongside the nutrition factor that people can adopt to make it easier for themselves to implement these things into their everyday life? Because I think there's two very important things here, is to have those techniques, those sort of awareness parts to it, but also that it's actually a lifestyle to eat well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it sort of fits in well with your overall program, really. It's about making sure you spend time for yourself and your family and your friends. Even as an entrepreneur, you need to set aside that time for your family, your friends, and have those moments of eating together, fresh food made at home, and to enjoy it, because pleasure is really important when it comes to food. That's an important part of eating and living. Yeah.
Yes. I always find it interesting when people eat just for the fuel, and they just shovel it in and be done with it. It's like, I enjoy my food. I like savouring it. And of course, there is the advice as well that, the longer you chew, the better it is at the end, because then your brain recognizes that you are indeed full, rather than just shoveling it in and eating 2-3 times more than what you should.
Yeah.
But when I was asking about techniques, the one thing that came to my mind was, this was years and years ago when I was still yo-yo dieting. But actually, that one thing stayed with me very well, is to write a weekly plan, like do a weekly menu.
Yep.
Then do a shopping list to go with that menu. And two things happen really, is that you will always have the ingredients in your fridge and cupboard. But when you get home from a busy day, then you don't have to think about what to cook, because there'll be an item on your menu that you can make quickly and easily because you've got all the ingredients. Do you have any other bits of advice of a similar kind that people can implement to make their life easier?
Yeah, I think having a weekly menu is really good. And when you go shopping, have in mind what you're going to have every day, because that helps you plan ahead and think ahead, and thinking breakfast, lunch and dinner. It also depends where you are, because some people, they prefer to have a weekly plan, and other people prefer to do every couple of days, because, they might not have that mindset or that vision. So, I have to work with what clients think is the best way. So, a plan for a week is great, but also some people prefer just to have a plan for a couple of days. And also some people like a treat, So, and it's okay to have a treat.
What you mean, a treat as a treat, as a sweet treat, or treat as a going out?
Or going out, all those things are fine. It's all about making sure you don't overdo it in one area, really. So,
So what do you advise to people who are sort of impulsive as a personality, or just their work is a bit all over the place and they don't really have a set time structure?
That makes it really much more difficult for people. Yeah, if you can prepare your food at home, it's always much better, but also normally cheaper, because buying on the go is really expensive.
Yeah, funny enough, people think that ready meals are, well, I don't know, ready meals might be cheaper.
I think ready meals is a different discussion, because that's something you take home and cook, maybe. But like if you're buying sandwiches and things like this in the shop, it can really add up, your lunchtime costs. So, but it saves time. So just be careful, look at the labels, see what it says in it. Some of the sandwiches you buy can be really loaded in salt. So look at the salt, look at the calories.
And mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And this is where it comes in, isn't it? It's not necessarily the bread that's bad for you. It's all the other stuff that goes into a sandwich to give it taste or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's the added things they put in. So mayonnaise is fine if you have a small amount, but if you have a sandwich that's got loads of mayonnaise in, that might add to your extra calories. And salt, they may put a lot of salt in to help preserve it, but also to help the taste. So, those sort of things you need to look at as well.
Like an additive, isn't it? Just like sugar. And sugar is the worst additive in the world, really.
Well, sugar has a role. It provides taste and texture. I wouldn't say it's really bad, but, you don't want too much of it. Too much of it can.
So how do you deal with clients who perhaps say that they've got an addictive personality, and once they eat something sweet, they just want to eat more and more and more of it?
That is really difficult. And I would say just trying to cut down a small amount at a time and then build it up. So, you would start with if someone was
build it down, as the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing is look for alternatives, because alternatives can be a solution. So if you're eating a lot of sugary drinks, you can look for the low-calorie, sugar-free ones.
And there are studies, though, that when you drink sugar-free stuff, your body thinks that it's receiving the energy, and then it just makes you even hungrier. I remember seeing a documentary where they gave 2 rugby teams sugar-free drink to one and full sugar drinks to the other. And at the end of the game, the ones who had the sugar-free drinks, neither of them knew which one they had. They had exactly the same amount of food laid out on 2 tables. And the ones who had the sugar-free drinks ended up eating considerably more as a team than the other lot who had the sugary drinks up front.
I haven't seen that study, but sugar drinks do have a lot of calories in. So calorie intake will reduce if you replace it. But you don't want to be having too many of these drinks anyway.
No,
So
certainly
it's
not.
really literally for like a treat. So, if you're having 5 sugary drinks a day, that's an awful lot of calories, extra calories. First of all, you need to reduce that. So,
but the question that I'm kind of posing
number
here is that if you then have sugar-free instead, would it make you eat more throughout the day because your body thinks that it's receiving the energy while it's not, and it's making you more hungry?
I'm not aware of those studies, so I can't comment on those. But I do know that if you reduce your total intake of those drinks, you will reduce your calorie intake and then replace it with the sugar-free. I wouldn't say have 5 sugar-free drinks a day. I would say reduce your drinks totally. And have
replace it with water, yes.
Decaf tea or caffeinated, some small caffeinated amount of tea. So replace your drinks with those. And then if you want to have a Coke or a lemonade, you could then choose the diet ones if you didn't want to increase your calorie intake.
Yeah.
As a treat.
If you are listening to this thinking this is exactly where I get stuck, that's not accidental. This is the work I do privately with business owners who want sustainable performance without it costing them their health. If it resonates, you will find the link in the show notes. So obviously as entrepreneurs, business owners, we get really quite busy, middle-aged women. We're going through perimenopause, postmenopause, that comes with brain fog. Also, in my experience, now, so talking to a lot of women of our age, sort of say that they have been diagnosed or self-diagnosed like we have, autistic tendencies, ADHD tendencies. So we struggle with brain fog, low energy, this whole range of things, emotional volatility, all sorts. So from your perspective as a nutritionist, how much of that is, you think, down to hormones and the brain chemistry, or how much of it can actually be controlled with diet?
Well, when we go through the perimenopause and the menopause, during the perimenopause, our hormones are fluctuating and changing a lot. So estrogen in particular, it can fluctuate throughout the day and throughout the month. And also estrogen is generally going down. Once you reach the menopause, your estrogen will be at very low level. So estrogen has an amazing role within the body. It's not just involved in the reproductive cycle. It's involved in many different organs in the body, in the brain, the heart, the gut, the liver. All throughout your body is the role of estrogen. So as this goes down, it definitely affects your whole body. And one thing it affects is with the brain. So it's really important to look after your brain health with having like more omega-3, making sure you have the right ingredients in your diet to help protect your heart. Your bone health, calcium gets absorbed out of your bone when your estrogen levels go down. So it's really important to make sure you've got a lot of calcium and protein to help build bone and muscle during the perimenopause and menopause. It affects your heart health. So it's really important to make sure you have the right types of fat in your diet, the right oils to help lower cholesterol, improve your heart health. So it affects so many different parts of your body. So as the estrogen goes down, estrogen has a protective effect on various parts of our body. It makes it even more important to ensure that we're getting the right nutrition to improve and help keep our body and our bones, our heart, our brain healthy. So it's really important to look after your nutrition as we go through this level.
Listening to you, it's just so scary, isn't it? All these changes. I mean, I'm over the other side now. It's kind of like, I don't necessarily want to go into the topic of HRT, but I don't know, within your own realm, do you study HRT or does it come into your advice line at all?
Well, I'm not a medical doctor. HRT can have a role in helping people through the perimenopause and menopause, but that's a discussion that needs to be done with their GP or healthcare professional.
It kind of feels like, you'd be crazy not to take estrogen supplements. But then, I myself don't take any hormone replacement. But it's kind of like, should I? Literally, all that's going through my head right now is, should I to look after my body better? Or indeed, with nutrition, if I look into it more, what are sort of estrogen high foods?
Yep,
Would
there's
that
also
be...
you can have soya products.
Okay.
So those are high in estrogen. And there are also some supplements you can get that are high in soya isoflavonoids, which act as estrogen type
Okay.
properties.
How long
You
does
can't-
it take for the body to sort of start to have the positive effect of that? Because I think I took it for a while and I'd never noticed any difference.
See, the thing is, they're quite low levels compared to the HRT. They're quite low levels, so they will have an effect, but it may be quite subtle. And I would say 4 to 6 weeks at least before, or 4 to 2 months, 4 weeks to 2 months.
Interesting.
So you need to take them for a long time. And for some people, they might have a beneficial effect. Other people might not see effect, because the thing is, we're all different. And this is the key thing about the perimenopause and the menopause. There are so many different symptoms. So there are like 90 different symptoms. So your symptoms may have been completely different to my symptoms. So therefore, HRT, because estrogen affects the whole of the body, you may have different benefits from that by having estrogen or the diet. So I always think it's a bit like you have your temple effect, and affecting lots of different factors for entrepreneurs, for people going through women going through perimenopause or menopause. It's really important to look at lots of different factors,
I suppose,
and your
yes,
lifestyle.
yes,
So
indeed.
diet is one of them, and making sure you have a really good nutritional diet, because there's so many risk factors that increase as you get older, and having that diet background will help you. But also estrogen will help you, but lifestyle, developing good things to protect you against stress, making sure you have diet, weight training is really important. So there's so many things that you can do to help support yourself during those transitions. But yeah, it's an individual thing, and you have to sort of find your own way almost.
Yeah, that's the hardest bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Because anyway, as I say, this particular conversation is not actually about menopause and HRT, but it's interesting that it sort of very much came into it from the nutrition point of view.
Yeah.
Because although we are, some of us or all of us, I don't know, perhaps aware that there are estrogen high foods, but to actually pay attention to it, to help support ourselves that way, I've not really put 2 and 2 together. So hopefully it would have triggered people to think about it at least, or start paying attention to it. So if we sort of focus on fueling our body, you obviously picked on fiber already, and you highlighted this in our pre-interview chat. So why is fiber so underestimated in general? And what role does it play in managing our energy, and then from a business owner point of view, our focus and long-term stamina?
Well, fibre is really important for loads of different functions, again, particularly gut health. Gut health is really important, and gut health can affect lots of different things. So there's the gut-brain axle, so the gut affects the brain. And so gut health is really key. Fibre is also important for heart health and our gut health generally. So all these things are really important. So, and most people don't get enough fibre. There's so many people that I'm bloated, I'm constipated, so many people have issues with their stomach and their stomach health.
And they don't think twice that it's down to their diet.
And, fibre is so low intake in this country. So anything we can do to increase fibre is absolutely brilliant. And one of the things, the big campaign going on this year is getting pulses and beans. So beans into your diet. So that's a big campaign. And so it's absolutely important to include kidney beans, lentils, legumes, add them into any dish you can add them in, really. And they can add texture, taste and flavour. So, and you're getting your protein and your fibre. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, because they tend to be very protein rich as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and
the interesting thing is, I'm from Hungary, and there is this particular dish that is apparently completely unique to Hungary, or maybe in the surrounding areas. And I can't even kind of translate the name of it, but the bottom line is you cook some vegetables and then you make a thickening, like a jus kind, fry up some flour in oil, then run it up with water to create this sort of thick sauce, and then add that to the cooking water. And that's it. That's kind of the sauce that kind of covers the vegetables. And then we eat it with all sorts of meat toppings. But of course, I don't really eat flour because I've got a minute gluten intolerance. So I don't really eat white bread and white flour and stuff. And I don't even store flour at home anymore for years now. But what I do instead, because I still like to make these dishes, because as I say, it's vegetable based, so I quite like it, I use red lentils because it kind of cooks into mush in a sort of relatively short time. So that provides my thickening for this vegetable dish.
Yeah.
It stays a little bit more runny, and it's just an alternative. It's not like the original, but people can implement little things, little tricks like that into their everyday life, where they can replace something that causes gut issues with something that's actually healthy and has the similar kind of effect in the cooked meal.
Yeah, it's if you can increase your fruit and veg intake and your lentils and pulses, that's great. And I always think that every meal time I try to think, have I had a fruit? Have I had some vegetables? Where can I add more in? And I think that's sort of quite a good way. Actually, the really good thing about beans, lentils, those sort of products is you can buy them canned. Okay, you can buy the dried ones and soak them overnight and then cook them. But you can actually buy canned ones of these that are very easy just to add to any dish.
It's literally ready to eat as it is. I mean, that's what I do. I open a can of beans, drain it, and then add it to my lunch. To me, that's the carb. Well, I know that they are very protein rich, but to me, that's the carbohydrate part of my lunch. And certainly very high fiber. But having the dry ones is probably a bit too laboursome for busy people. But canned, super convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, canned, you just have to be careful with canned soup because it can be very high in
Well, not soup,
salt.
but just beans and
sorry, I thought it said
lentils.
canned soup. Right, okay. Yeah, the canned of those is brilliant.
Soup. No, it comes in the ultra-processed food category for me, to be honest. But I was going to ask you a question about what action people can take. So any business owners listening, any busy people listening who just literally want to increase their energy level or their mental clarity, but without overhauling their entire diet. We kind of covered the answer to this, but if you could pick out just one thing that people can implement that genuinely move the needle for them to make their diet better, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to go off key now.
Go on.
Well, vitamin D.
Okay.
Vitamin D, we don't get enough of vitamin D in this country, particularly in the winter. We can't make it through our skin, through the sun. So a vitamin D supplement, everyone needs one. So you need to make sure you go out and buy a vitamin D supplement, 10 micrograms. Don't get 100.
Can you get overdosed then?
You can at a higher level, but it needs to be quite high to get an overdose. If you want to look at levels, because when you look on the label, you get the levels of how much is in the supplement.
Your recommended daily.
Yep. So you can go onto the NHS website. They've got on there, they've got all the vitamins and minerals and what is the highest level you can take. So if you're thinking, my multivitamin's got vitamin D, and can I take a bit more or not? Look there to add it together. Is it pure
vitamin D, or is it best to buy one with a combination with something? Does it absorb into the body when it's combined with something?
You want to look for the form vitamin D3. That's the best one to buy. Okay. It normally is just labelled on the pack of the supplement. You could buy it with a multivitamin as well. Having a multivitamin in the winter probably wouldn't do you any harm, would be good. Yeah, so, vitamin D is really important to take in the winter.
All year round, or definitely in the winter?
Definitely in the winter, from the end of September to the end of April. If you don't go outside at all, or if you wear a lot of sunscreen, then take it year round.
Gosh, even the sunscreen stops us making the vitamin D in our body. Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, fabulous advice. Thank you very much. So let's finish on again, I'm going to go, of course, a little bit here because we talked about food throughout. So you made a point that a nutritionist, this was something that we discussed beforehand, that a nutritionist is not a protected term, but you are a registered nutritionist. So what kind of risk people take if they followed unqualified advice?
Well, you get like a lot of fad diets that don't look at the overall what you're taking and your intake, and people that aren't qualified. So they might zoom in on one thing and like just say you have to do this particular thing, which is not really healthy overall. So I think it's better to go to a qualified nutritionist or a qualified dietitian, either of those.
Would it be because they look at the overall picture?
Yeah, exactly. And they've got like a lot of education. I mean, to be a registered nutritionist, you need to have a degree in nutrition or nutrition and food science. And first of all, you become associate. So that's 3 to 4 years of training. And then you have to work for 3 or 4 years before you become a full registered nutritionist. And you have to submit a dossier to the Association of Nutrition.
Wow.
And it's a lot of work and they're very rigorous. So, so it's a shame that, someone can do a day's course and call themselves a nutritionist and not really be qualified. Yeah.
Are there campaigns to make this?
There are, I think, in some countries. Yeah, there are campaigns. Yeah. But yeah, you just, you need to sort of be aware.
Like you couldn't call yourself a doctor just
no, absolutely.
on the back of anything.
Nor a nurse. But
this is playing with people's health.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Yep.
I think we received a lot of very good advice from you, although at the beginning we started off fairly generic, but I think we managed to drill into a couple of very important details. And I really like your closing advice on the vitamin D, going off course a little bit from nutrition. Liz, thank you ever so much for joining me in the studio and educating us on nutritional health in order to be a better business person.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If this conversation made you think, please subscribe, leave a comment and listen again. If you would like more information on the topic or my guest, all information are in the show notes. Build routines, bank results.